Narcissistic people are masters of hypocrisy, which means that they are fantastic at creating and proclaiming these moral standards and ideas and principles that everybody ought to live their lives by. However, when it comes to their own lifestyle, their own actions, their own behavior, it's oftentimes contrary to the moral standards that they're proclaiming. It can be both confusing, but if you're not careful, it can be alluring. And that's why in this message, I'm going to share with you an example of what this type of hypocrisy can look like, how it can be both alluring and confusing. And then we're going to talk about why narcissistic people are oftentimes such hypocrites and what you need to know to protect yourself. My name is Kevin, and this is The Royal We. Now, before I do continue with this very important message about narcissistic people being masters of hypocrisy, I want to let you know that I'm here to support you. Down in the description box, you'll find access for one-on-one appointments with me. So if you're dealing with narcissistic family members or friends or a husband or a wife, and you're tired of the hypocrisy, head on down there. Don't try to confuse yourself by figuring it out on your own. Schedule some one-on-one time with me. Let's talk about it. In addition to one-on-one coaching calls, I also have a coaching program. My coaching program is live and in person each and every day. I don't just throw books and videos your way and say, peace out, good luck. I invest my every day with you, Monday through Friday. In addition to daily support, Tuesday nights fellowship, where we open up the Bible and we see what God's word has to say about living in a world that is increasingly abusive and narcissistic. In addition to Roe Fellowship, every Thursday night is Backstage Pass, where I share with you the background of being a coach, what it takes mentally, emotionally, physically, even technologically. I give away all of my best kept secrets, if you will. And coming soon to the Roe coaching program is an exclusive workout regiment, where I have brought on board some of the most highly sought after longevity coaches that are going to whip you into shape mentally, emotionally, and physically. Join the Roe coaching program. Take the 30-day challenge to get yourself in the best shape of your life. Now, let's get into this topic. Narcissistic people, masters of hypocrisy. Now, just to be clear, I'm not diagnosing anybody in this video as a narcissist. I'm simply showing you what hypocrisy could look like, how subtle it is, and how you might even be lured into it. And then we're going to talk about this hypocrisy and what it really means. Now, I'm going to share with you a clip. The context of this clip is that this gentleman is talking about a breakup. When a relationship between a man and a woman, or perhaps a husband and a wife, falls apart, what could be going wrong? In this first clip, we're going to get a demonstration of the moral standard, the moral principle, the moral idea coming from this individual. Let's watch it together.
You like it or not, you are the reason she became so cold. You are the reason she doesn't listen anymore. You are the reason she's so arrogant all of a sudden. You are. You may not have identified why yet, but if you identify why, then you get into your next relationship healed and understanding what you did wrong and learn from it.
Now, as you can see in this particular video clip, this person is a public figure. He's talking about a breakup, when a relationship goes wrong. And the moral principle, the moral idea that he's putting out there is towards men. And it's that if a woman grows cold, if a woman gets nasty, if a woman gets arrogant, it's the man's fault. It's because the guy has done something wrong. Now, this might sound alluring. It might both want to whip men into shape and say, wow, well, maybe I am the reason. Okay, I better become a better man. And women are probably going to plot it too and say, yeah, well, that's right. That's right. It obviously is the man's fault. And so he's putting out there this public moral standard of how people ought to live their lives. Now, let's watch the same individual giving us a glimpse into his reality, his behavior, and his lifestyle. Watch this.
So then when you leave them, they're like, why did you leave me? Because I lived one life, my dear, and I lived my life to the best of my ability, and some things upset you, and instead of staying in line, you just thought that the best thing to do would be to become a nagging, horrible person. And I know you feel like I am obligated to deal with it because I turned you into this person, but I disagree. You could have analyzed a chessboard and came to me kindly and nicely and begged for me to stop and stayed lovely and nice so that I wanted to be with you. Because once I don't want to be around you anymore, you don't really have much leverage. do you, my love.
Now you can see in this clip of the same gentleman, granted he didn't have any hair and had a smaller beard. So who knows? Maybe time and maturity is the difference between the two clips. I'm not certain. But one thing is for certain, we definitely see the hypocrisy. We saw in the first video this moral standard. Well, it's the man's fault. And if a man gets his act together, then the woman will have no problem. Then in this other video, what we see is his lifestyle. He's sharing with us his attitude and his behavior, which is, well, if a woman feels like I'm the reason, I'm going to disagree. And you should beg me to be better to you and this and that and yada, yada, yada. The lifestyle, the behavior of this individual does not match or come anywhere close to the moral standard that he's projecting out there. Now, just to wrap it up and to be entertained, I've meshed the two together so we can have a little mashup of them. And this is what it looks like, and you can see how ridiculous it is.
You like it or not, you are the reason she became so cold.
I know you feel like I am obligated to deal with it because I turned you into this person, but I disagree.
You are the reason she doesn't listen anymore.
Came to me and begged for me to stop, and begged for me and begged for me and begged for me to stop so that I wanted to be with you.
You identify why, then you get into your next relationship healed and understanding what you did wrong and learn from it.
Now, I know I had to put in there that begged me to stop, begged me, begged me, begged me. When I heard this person say that online, I mean, it just struck a chord within me. Who walks around in relationships saying, well, you should beg me to be nice to you, beg me to treat me well? It's like, I am your God, beg me for your mercy, beg me, my little subject. It's just ridiculous. This type of thing just, it kind of makes me sick to my stomach. But nonetheless, you can see my point of what hypocrisy looks like. It's subtle, yet it's very confusing. It's the moral standards that are projected out that can allure people in, but it's also then met with a lifestyle and a behavior and an attitude that we saw that is contrary to the moral standard. It's almost a boasting. In the second video of the same gentleman, he was almost boasting about ending the relationship because she did not beg him to be kinder. Now, let's talk about what this hypocrisy really is within narcissistic personalities that I have dealt with in my life and maybe you've dealt with in your own life. What I believe it comes down to, it's a lack of their empathy, a lack of their curiosity, a lack of their empathy, which ultimately leads them into a place of having no foundational core values or beliefs that are true. In other words, oftentimes what they say, even their standards, their moral beliefs, their moral ideas of how people ought to act, well, all that really is simply something that they've gathered, they've brought in, maybe from the outside, maybe they're mirroring somebody. It's something that they've heard, and it's an idea they're projecting out, but it's not really them. They don't really believe it, not to the point of living by it. They're just saying it because it's the right thing to say in the right time. Now, this brings me up to my next point. When narcissistic people, because they have no empathy, because they have no self-foundation, they have no foundational true self, which means they have no true beliefs or values that they live by and talk about. It's going to depend on the audience that's listening. Now, I dealt with this with narcissistic in-laws. On one hand, when I was in the in-laws territory, I was being cussed at, called names, demeaned, devalued, and all this and that, and this nasty stuff. But what's interesting, and it fit in their little crowd, it fit in their circle. This is how they live their lives. What's interesting is that when it came to being around my friends and my family, well, they were completely different. They were nicer. Oftentimes I heard, oh, Kevin, you deserve love, and you deserve to be treated kind, and I'm so happy for you, this and that. And it made me start to feel sick to my stomach. How can you have these two opposing views? You treat me in this way when you're over here, and you talk about me, though, in this good way when you're over here. Well, once again, it's because narcissistic people don't have a foundational self that they're operating out of. They simply play to whatever crowd they're in front of. This is what makes them dangerous, because you never know what's real about these types of individuals. You can be lured in to the ideas and the principles that they're talking about without even realizing that it's not how they live their life. It's simply ideas and principles that they're talking about. They're playing to a crowd that wants to hear that. Meanwhile, in their actual life and their actual behavior, they don't care. They're self-absorbed. They want you to beg them for their attention or whatever. And by the way, I heard that too from the narcissistic family members that I was dealing with. One of the comments was, Kevin, I didn't know that my words were bothering you. Didn't know that my cussing you out and calling you names was offending you. You never said anything. If you would have, and they literally said this, if you would have cried or told me to stop, I would have listened. What type of people need others to cry for them? It's almost like the message that we saw from this gentleman who talked earlier. If you only would have begged me, then maybe I would have treated you better. These types of personalities are something else. The best thing you can do is when you get the sense that there's no foundational core value system that they live by, get out of it. Because they're wishy-washy. They'll blow around like the wind, and their principles and their values will change. As I said before, I am here to support you. If you're curious about this topic or you're dealing with this, don't hesitate. Head on down there, schedule some one-on-one time with me. Let's talk about it. I take video calls as well as telephone calls. And don't forget, I also have the coaching program. My coaching program is live and in person each and every day, including a workout regimen for you to get into shape, a Bible study every Tuesday night, and Backstage Pass to help you become a coach. Head on down there. It's all in the description box down below, and I'll be back with more videos for you right here on The Royal We. Do me a favor, hit the like and the subscribe button. Also, hit the bell notification so you don't miss any future videos by The Royal We. And before you check out, watch one of these videos recommended to you by the YouTube algorithm because it knows what you've been watching. I know that sounds spooky, but in this case, it's actually good. So check out one of these videos, and I'll be back. Bye, everybody.